The title of my talk today is this: Out of Control. I think of myself as that little boy. How many of you had like those saucers when you were little? I bet most of it. How many of you are from the East Coast? Because that's what we did in the East Coast. We had those saucers that would always go down our front lawns. And my front lawn was about as high as this to the floor. It was so small, but it felt so big being in one of those saucers. So the question I have for you this morning is, how many of you remember a time when you were out of control in your life? Eric Bork, you've never been out of control. You don't have fun, and you've never been out of control. You've been out of control. I've seen you out of control. Haven't I? So, what about over here? Jay, have you been out of control in your life? Joe, I'm not even going to ask. You're a tap dancer. So, out of control. So I had to ask myself, where have I been out of control? For a person who's very active and just goes really far, almost too far sometimes, except I've decided there's no such thing as too far. So I thought about when I was in my 20s, my late 20s, living in New York City as an actor, and there was a place called The Saint. Anybody remember The Saint? Joe, you remember The Saint probably. The Saint was this observatory that was turned into a disco. So you'd go there around midnight, you'd go have a couple of cocktails and then show up at the Saint at midnight. They'd open the doors and everybody would pack in. It was mostly gay. Back then, it was really gay straight. There were straight clubs and gay clubs. Now it's like you don't know where you are. Everybody's there, which is great. So everybody packs in, all these gay men and like 5 lesbians, like 2,000 gay men. And then somewhere around 3 o'clock in the morning, the ceiling disappears because it's an observatory. And the ceiling opens wide open, and you just have never experienced anything like 2,000 gay men, kind of drunk, dancing to major disco music, and a ceiling disappearing. Talk about out of control. It was just awesome. How many of you wish you could have gone to that? Anybody sitting here going, oh my, that's horrible. No, it was great. It was really great. And I used to think that those were the days when I was like out of control. Like that was my out of control. Now, I had a lot of friends who went every week. I went like twice because I was also very Catholic at the time, because I would go on Saturday night, but I'd still have to be at Mass on Sunday morning. And those 2 times that I did go, or 4 or 5, I forget how many, I literally went right to Mass from the disco, because once the ceiling opened, they locked the doors, and you had to stay there until 6 a.m., which was, Pauline, no, you look aghast. It was great. It was really great. There's nowhere to be, just dancing under the stars. It was amazing. And then I would go to church and be told what a sinner I was. And I'm like, you have no idea where I was last night. But when I look at it now, I was not out of control. I have such a whole different idea of what it means to be out of control. And I also have a great understanding now of how much work we put into staying in control. How many of you feel that in your life sometimes? You just feel like you have to stay in control because you don't want to lose it. You don't want anybody to think you're weird. Well, you are weird. We're all weird. We are all unique and individual. And I mean, just look at the hair over here. I mean, there's some purple and blue hair going on in row 2 over there. That's just amazing. So the first quote I have for you, appropriately, is from Mario Andretti, who, by the way, grew up in Croatia, we found out during one of our tours. Now, the weird thing is, I didn't go looking for a Mario Andretti quote just because we just went to Croatia. This is the quote that came up when I put in what I was looking for, and I was like, how bizarre. I was just in his hometown of one of those names of Croatia that we visited. What? Montana. Oh, you're looking it up on Google. Thank you. Montana. It was great. So, if things don't feel out of control, you're not going fast enough. What do you think about that? Really?
When I'm going really fast.
I'm not talking about driving.
No, but I'm talking about myself.
Yes.
If I'm going really fast, then I'm out of control.
Okay, then that's good.
No, it isn't. I go into anxiety and it gets worse.
You're going to love my talk today because I'm going to talk all around that anxiety and feeling like we have to stay controlled so that we don't lose it. Yeah, I'm going to fix that all for you. Okay, so if things don't feel out of control, you're not going fast enough. So here's the thing, and Joselito talked about it so beautifully. The point of my talk today is that we have to really realize where control truly is. Where is control? And what is control? Well, if enthusiasm, as Joselito just talked about, is that thing that drives you, and yes, the word I have chosen for mental muscle is driven, and when it came to me, I was like, everybody on mental muscle knows I fought it and fought it and fought it, and I kept it, but now I'm really grateful that I have this word driven, because I'm asking myself every single day, what is driving me today? Is my ego driving me in this moment? Is my creativity driving me in this moment? Is my regret driving me in this moment? Is grief driving me in this moment? And the more I can get in touch with what's driving me, I start to understand how my life is always, always in control. Even if I'm standing at the watermelon stand crying, pieces of watermelon, at Ralph's, Vaughn's, okay, I'm in control because when I attach myself and surrender myself to the truth of life, and I surrender myself to what is in control, which is life itself, I am never out of control. I am always allowing this thing called life to drive me. And the problem is, we have been taught so often, so many times, that there's the good and the bad. We have been taught duality from the moment we were born. There's good and bad, there's left and right, there's right and wrong. There's not, there's energy. And you get to decide how it shows up in your life. And if you're willing to surrender to the quantum field of pure energy that is always moving for the highest and best, then you can turn your control over to yourself because you are that energy. You are that place. So enthusiasm is our theme this month, right? So let's see what Marianne Williamson says about this. Things don't spiral out of control when we surrender them. They spiral out of control when we try to control them. Exactly what I'm talking about. Things do not go out. You do not get out of control when you are in touch with who you are. When you remember who you are, you can't be out of control. You can go as fast as you want, take as many chances as you want. You can take risks knowing there's no such thing as a risk to God. God doesn't risk. What's the possibility for God to screw it up? No, there's a possibility for you to screw it up. And I know I teach that we are all God. But we're all God at very different levels of this energy, this amazing creativity. So the question becomes, are you willing to surrender? Are you willing to surrender control and stop thinking that you know how to fix this, how to work this out? And where does enthusiasm come into play? Well, enthusiasm is a great bell marker. Is that the word? Bellwether, bell tone, ding. It's a way for you to know, are you on the right track? Because if you've got the enthusiasm about whatever's going on in your life, if that feeling is driving you, you're in the right place. Because you've opened the doors and allowed this universal presence, this creativity, to flow through you, to be you. So why is enthusiasm so important? Because if you're doing things without enthusiasm, you have somehow decided you're in control and you've taken control. And now it's all dependent upon all the stuff in your grab bag of core beliefs. It's going to decide how it all turns out. You all following me? Anybody not following me? Good, okay. So, enthusiasm, it means intense and eager enjoyment. How many of you are having intense and eager enjoyment of your life? Raise your hand. Okay, well, if you're not, some of your faces are like, really? You're going to call me out? Yes, I am. Not by name, but I am going to say to you, if you're not, why not? Because we are in a teaching that says you can do it all. You can have it all. You can be it all. You can experience it all. And if we believe that, really believe that, why are we not living these enthusiastic, amazing lives of passion and fun and loving and laughing and dancing and kissing and all that stuff? So, Ernest Holmes said this: always expect good. Well, let's stop there for a second. Always expect good. Is there anybody here who sometimes doesn't expect good? I think all of us at times. And we don't even know it because we're not checking in. That's why I love Mental Muscle. There are 76 people taking Mental Muscle this time. It's amazing. And I love that means every single day I have to wake up and check in and find out what the heck I'm thinking and what am I doing and what's driving me, right? So always expect good. Always expect good. Have enthusiasm, and above all, have a consciousness of love, a radiant feeling flowing through your consciousness at all times. Why do you think this is so important to me? Because love is an energy. Love is an energy that motivates us, that moves us, that drives us. And if I'm going to love only, then I'm only going to experience that which love created, instead of that which resentment created, that which anger created, that which failure created, even that which success created. There is a point in time where we get to really allow love to just flow through us. Always expect good. I know it's not easy. Do I always expect good? Most of the time I expect good, and then there are those moments where I suddenly realize, you're not expecting good here, are you? There's something going on right now in my life, and I had to keep checking in. Are you expecting good? Well, I'm expecting a challenge. Oh, good. Let's call challenge up. Forget about good. Let's just challenge. That's how this stuff works. Your mind is telling you what to expect because your mind is directing the expectation of where you're going. So, always expect good. Yeah. Have enthusiasm. Let the enthusiasm run through you. There were times on the tour, on our trip, where I literally was like over it. I was just tired. I was like, because people got COVID on our trip, and it was really there were moments where it was very sad to see people not be able to participate in what we were doing because, well, they had COVID. But everybody was game and everybody did what they needed to do. But there was one day I woke up and I turned to Kevin, and I had the most amazing, thank you, Marilyn, amazing suites. And the one day that we woke up, I was in this gorgeous suite with a big balcony. I think I showed a lot of you. I showed my tub on the balcony, which I never did use other than to fall in it while I was making that video. And so I woke up and I said to Kevin, I said, I'm not going today. I'm going to pass on today. He goes, you're going to pass on going to the cave? I said, yeah, Kevin, you've seen, caves. How could this cave, I've been in caves. I went to that cave in Italy where the Blue Grotto, where you had to huddle down, then the surf takes you in and you're up. I said, what's going to compare to that? I've been to caves. And he just looked at me and he went, get out of bed, you're going to the cave. I was like, you're not the boss of me. And he was like, just get out of bed, you're going to the caves. I said, but I'm so tired. I said, get out of bed. And he said it like 10 times. I finally was like, whatever. And so then I put my minister face on as I walked out and everything was happy. No, I don't do that, just so you know. Right, Marilyn? I just show up. And even one person said to me, they said, you don't seem yourself. I said, oh, I'm myself. This is myself right now. Trust me. And then we got to the cave. And I can honestly say, it was the single most exhilarating, tremendous thing I've ever done in my life. To be standing in the middle of a 90-million-year-old cave. I don't even have words to describe, right, Marcy, what this was like. Marcy and I basically just kept our mouths open the whole time going, it was, and I can't remember the name of the name, what's it called? Poseidonia Cave. And it was just spectacular. It was a moment in time that literally, Eric, it literally transformed me. No, it works that way. Eric's always saying, you use literally wrong. So that one was correct, right? Thanks. I'll finish it, I'll tell you. It literally transformed me because I suddenly stood there at one point and I just stood there. And I realized I was breathing air that's been there for 90 million years and beyond. And that this cave doesn't give a crap what's going on in the world around it. It just evolves, and it is gorgeous, and it just does what it does. It lets the universe create it in the most magnificent way. And I'm thinking, 30 million years ago, we make so much importance out of these 100-year-old lives, 100-year-old lives, 110, 120, however far we get. We make it so important. But this has been here for 90 million years. And as we were leaving the cave, there was a part of the cave right at the end that was kind of black. There were black things in it. And I thought to myself, and he started explaining what happened. During World War II, the Germans took over this part of the country. And they brought all of their weapons and stuff into the cave right at its mouth. But the Allied forces found them through another entrance to the cave and blasted them. And so all those bombs and all went off in this 90 million year old cave. But it didn't destroy it. It added some darkness, some black to it. But now, 50 years later, or 60, 70 years later, the black's starting to disappear because it's just growing right through it. And it doesn't care. It just doesn't care how screwed up we allow this world to be. And what it's constantly doing is moving through saying, would you just chill and give it up to what we know we can bring to your experience, which is love and light and peace and power and beauty and joy, all of that. It was an amazing, amazing moment, and I thank my husband for really being abusive to me that morning. No, I really do, and I'm glad I listened to whatever inside me didn't want to fight anymore and went. But so often we think we're okay. We're like, nah, this is all okay. Everything's, all good, all good. And yet, if we would just go that extra step and listen for something bigger, something inside of us, and enthusiasm. Because I didn't have enthusiasm of staying home. In fact, it felt kind of dreary. But I thought, I'm just going to stay in today. It's 2 weeks. We were at the end of our 2-week tour. I was like, I'm just going to stay in today and relax. And that didn't feel enthusiastic. And that should have been my key. I was like, I'm not feeling enthusiasm. I need to do something. I need to up this game. And that's what I'm asking you to look at. If you're not feeling enthusiastic, you need to up your game because you can. Because it's who you are. It's what you are. Ernest Holmes also says this. He says, give yourself with enthusiasm to your heart's desire. And when this slide came up, I could not help but realize that it looks exactly like Nora. Doesn't it? It just showed up, and I moved it over to the quote, and I was like, it just caught me for a moment. I was like, okay, thanks, Nora. I appreciate you telling me this. Give yourself with enthusiasm to your heart's desires. The question becomes, what is your heart's desire? And you know why some of us don't know what our heart's desire is? Is because we're afraid. We're afraid to actually let ourselves know what our heart's desire is. We're afraid that if we don't get it, then we're going to be disappointed. It's easier to live in this place of mundanity and this place of compliance. You're saying, it's all good. No, I'm good. Everything's fine. Yeah, but what do you really desire? And you may not even know because you've got stuff blocking it, which is also what mental muscle is all about for me. To constantly go in there and question myself and get rid of any core beliefs that could stop me from knowing what my heart's desire is, and more importantly, stop me from acting. Remember our theme for this year? Who remembers what our theme is this year? Action. Oh, thank you, Eric. Action. That's what we've said we were going to do this year. Take action on all of this. So if you are not feeling enthusiasm about your life, it is time to take action. You have to get out of the way of your heart's desire. And I'm going to go to the lyrics of this song. Burn with desire deep in my soul. Boy, when I get to that part of the song, it's like I know I want to control my voice in a way that lets it just out. And that's hard for me because I know how to sing and I know what I'm supposed to be doing to sing well. But there's a moment in this song, and it's during these lyrics, that I just don't care. If I crack, I crack. If it's raspy, it's raspy. Because I need to let it out. Burn with desire deep in my soul. Do you hear those words? I want to love like a fire that's out of control. Not just be nice and like, oh, I love you. No, I want to really love you. Everything about you. I want to love. I want to dance. I want to fall. Chance. I want to kiss. When was the last time you kissed somebody? I mean, really kissed them. Wow, that was a dead response. You all need to get out there and start kissing. Next slide. I want to live my whole life with a sense of abandon. How many of you live your lives with a sense of abandon? And not just looking to see, okay, how can I do this? Does this line up correctly for me to do this? Forget about it. Forget about it. Just let it go. If it's not lined up and you want to do it anyway. There's a lyric in the song that says, I want to grow my wings on the way down. I don't want to go sit in a sweat house building wings for myself before I jump. I'm willing to jump and trust that the wings will grow on the way down. And most of you that know me really well know I just do. And I ask later if it was a good choice. And if it was, great. And if it wasn't, oh well, there's a lesson I've learned, and I'm happy to learn it. So I want to live my whole life with a sense of abandon, squeeze every drop out, no matter what happens. How many people here watched Grace and Frankie in its 7 seasons? So it's a really fun show, and I've been watching it since I've been at home this week, and I watched the last episode last night before I went to bed, which I probably shouldn't tell you about because you haven't maybe seen it yet. But there is a beautiful thing about getting old and about living life to its fullest. And Lily Tomlin's character had a moment where she said, I didn't do enough in life, because she thought she was going to die. I didn't do enough in life. And I was laying there just thinking, have I done enough? Have I done enough in life if I were to die tomorrow? And I was like, yes, I have. Have you done enough, Joe?
I'm getting there.
Exactly. She said, I'm getting there. Diane and Michael, have you done enough? You have more trips planned, don't you? Yeah, right? Squeeze every drop out no matter what happens. And the no matter what happens part is really important. Because sometimes we stop squeezing the life out of things because we're not happy with the way something else turned out, and we're stopped. We're put on hold. We put it on hold because we're disappointed or sad. Whatever it is. Whatever it is. But I want to live my life with this teaching, with knowing who I am, with understanding the quantum science of modern psychology, knowing that my mind is creating everything in my life, everything, not just something, everything. And not wonder what I had missed. For any of you that are still living with what you didn't do, for all of you Marlon Brandos out there, most of us didn't know him, only Joe, who dated him, Marlon Brando, who said, I could have been a contender. Well, you still can, Blanche. You can still be a contender, no matter what. So, not wonder what I had missed, I'd rather risk. So, ultimately, at the end of this talk, I wrote what did I want to do today? And this is what I teach my ministers. I just started a new ministerial class, 17 students. They are amazing. And the important thing is, what is it I wanted to talk about today? And talk a lot about, apparently. But what did I want to talk about? What's the message? And it goes back to the idea of, can we go too fast? And as you asked the question about, I get anxious when I'm getting out of control. Yeah, it's so easy to get anxious. It's so easy to get stressed out. It's so easy for your life to feel out of control. But the reason your life is feeling out of control is because you're trying to control it. And because you're not tapped into the truth of who you are. And ultimately, at the end of things, we're in a teaching that asks you what you want, and then asks you to have enthusiasm about it in order to manifest it. So in order to be out of control in the most amazing way, you have to surrender. And you have to be willing to let something bigger than you. As Ernest Holmes says, there's a power for good in the universe greater than you are, and you can use it. And I add, because you are it. And it is greater than you are, Lisa Carey, and you're pretty great. All those awards, this new website you have that is spectacular. I've already sent it to 5 women who are asking me questions. I went, don't ask me, ask Lisa Carey. Go to her website. She will tell you what it's like to age with grace and health and vibrancy. That's what we get to do. So I wanted to know when I came in here today that I could be out of control like I was at the Saint. I can dance my ass off. Ass is not a curse. And what I pray for and know is that from now on, when I'm dancing, no matter where it is, no matter what I'm doing, I will know that the ceiling disappears, that the sky shows up, and I am infinite in scope. I may be standing right here, but I am traveling beyond right here to the allness of life because I know who I am, and so do you. Namaste.